The Home Mortgage Law Show is a paid program and is intended as a resource guide for education, information, and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal advice. The information that you hear should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice from a professional attorney. Hiring of an attorney is an important decision which should not be based on advertising or the information that you hear today.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law firm of Morris duPont and Regal Tax Advisory Group. And we're with you every Saturday afternoon from 2 until 4 on News Talk 610 WIOD and 970 WFLA. The number is the same to call and talk to the experts right here, right now. Toll free, 866-610-NEWS, 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customers, star 610. Attorneys Shay duPont, Will Morris, and Michelle Hanash, our bankruptcy attorney.
Well, when we went to break, we were talking about the unfortunate experience I had dealing with a completely aggressive, and I would say out of control.
Overly aggressive.
Overly aggressive. Collecting agent. I don't know if it was a collection agency, really. For a lender. No, actually for a pest control company. The more I talk about the story, the more ridiculous it is a ridiculous story. One of our clients had a dispute as to whether a pest control company actually trapped raccoons on his property. And he had this dispute with the pest control company, and he wasn't paying this measly, I don't know, $400 or so, because he had to hire another company to come out and trap the raccoons. So the first
story gets better than that. The story gets better than that. So the first person who he fired, who didn't do the job, left their cages on the property.
Oh, yes.
The cage catches a raccoon.
Catching other kinds of animals.
So the cage caught another type of animal that the new company had to remove in addition to the raccoon.
So, this guy didn't owe any money to this first pest control company, but they go out and they hire this guy to collect on the couple $100 that our client, they said, owed. By the time I was given their information on this collection agency to deal with and let them know we represent the client, he had already found me before I could send him any kind of a notice of representation. He had been calling our client. He had been calling our client's family members. He had been trying to go to people's employment and track our client down.
He was calling you on your cell phone.
Well, before we even get there,
oh, really?
He was contacting me at the office, and he was leaving these angry messages. He was screaming at everyone that picked up the phone.
The receptionist was almost in tears.
Yeah.
I think they might have been in tears.
Yeah.
I don't,
no, I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Well, we won't say which receptionist, because it's probably all of them.
Yeah.
Because everyone he talked to, he was screaming, and he wouldn't let anyone say anything. And I didn't want to talk to him. At that point, I had decided I'm only communicating with the guy in writing. So what does he do? He goes and he does some type of an investigation to find my personal cell phone number and starts calling me up and harassing me. In the span of 20 minutes, he must have called me at least 20 times, which is insane. And he left me voice messages. I would pick up and talk to him and tell him, please call the office. I mean, he wouldn't speak like a normal human being. He was screaming, yelling, threatening, to the point where I told him, if you call me again, I'm calling the police. This is not okay. And I had to contact the police. And I contacted that pest control company that hired them, and I let him know exactly what kind of behavior this collector was engaging in. And he seemed to be shocked. And he said, oh, I used to work at a collection agency myself. I know those practices are not allowed. And so I'm hoping they fired this guy. But he still had the audacity, I will say, to send my client a letter after we had discussed the fact that he was not allowed to contact him, and after we sent him letters letting him know that what he was doing was really illegal and subject to fining.
Pretty crazy story.
Mm-hmm.
We have a call. Thomas, welcome to the show. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. What can we do for you?
Oh, I just need some kind of professional advice for my girlfriend and me. What happened was a year ago she got a car. She don't speak that much English. And when she got this car, they talked her into basically buying it, and for $15,000 with $2,000 down. She didn't have that down payment, but she needed a car at the time. They worked her into extra payments on paying that down payment. Well, and plus insurance and everything. The car is a 2012. Now they set her at 18% interest because she didn't have good credit. Now, a year later, she hasn't drove that car since September because all my vehicles are paid off. She lives with me now, and I have her in school full time for English to, better herself in education. But that car, since she missed the insurance payment, they tacked on $2,500 insurance, which went and brought the car up to $2,000 more than the book value even is. We can't get rid of the car since, like I said, since the last September, and I'm paying basically $478 a month plus now insurance, $180 a month more, $700 for a car that I can't even get on another car lot to pick up for more than $10,000 at wholesale because they want to make book value on it. So we're upside down in this car, and I don't know what her credit rating is, but it's probably not that good since it's at 18%. She had such a problem getting financed. I don't really know how is that going to affect her if we turn that car back in, because I'm already paid $3,000 into it just sitting. If we turn that car back in, how long is that going to affect her credit, or what will it really do? Will they auction that car off like at $10,000, and then she has bad credit of the rest of the remainder that was owed on the debt? What's going on? I don't know really what to do. If I need her later when we end up getting married and get a house together, is that really going to hurt her later on, 7 years from now? I don't understand really what to do.
Okay, so the car's been sitting there since September because you're letting her drive your Porsche now?
My Lexus.
Your
yeah,
Lexus.
We have a new.
Of course,
Lexus
darling, your
off. My
Lexus.
vehicles are paid off.
Okay, so that's the only reason that the car is sitting is because she's driving one of your cars now, right?
Yeah, we don't need it. And we didn't
Right.
want my cars have higher mileage in that one because it's only got 20-something thousand. It's new, and we really didn't know what to do with the vehicle.
So there's nothing to stop you from, number one, getting rid of the force-placed insurance and getting a simple, inexpensive policy that will cover the requirements that are needed to go along with the with whatever requirements there are under the loan that she has for the $15,000.
We did.
Okay.
We got the least amount that we could get.
Great.
and
Okay,
that's
so
what
now
it
you've got
is.
the lower insurance amount. It's not force placed anymore. And there's nothing to stop you from selling the car and paying down the note that she has, right?
We have it for sale now, and we've been taking it all over for about 2 months now.
Oof.
And
I don't think it's priced right. I don't
$5,000
think
to
it's
pay it
priced
off.
right. Yeah. I don't think it's priced right if it hasn't sold yet. Usually, you put it in the auto trader at the right price and it's going to sell pretty fast. So you can stop the bleeding because even it's obvious that the car is upside down, but no reason to keep that going with the 18%. You want to kind of stop the bleeding. And of course, Michelle, you could create a settlement with the company that has the note on the car.
Right. So you don't know what we'd be able to settle for, but there's the possibility of also just trying to lessen that amount due for a turnover. The last thing you want to do is just stop making the payments and have them just take the car. That's going to be where you're in the worst position.
I asked them for a settlement on the car, and they wouldn't do it. They wanted the full note on the car, even the $2,500 they tacked on for insurance.
So maybe the best option is to sell it and try and, pay that down as much as you can. And then they don't have that leverage to come and take the car back from you. And then you have to settle the remaining balance.
Well, wait a minute.
I've tried. It's been for sale, and it's totally detailed. It's been for sale on a lot right now, on a lot that I pay for every month in a prime spot. And they stopped making a car. It's a Suzuki, a new four-door. They stopped making that car. It's so far below book value. It's not a high sought-after car. There's not that many Suzuki dealerships in Florida.
Well, we've got to take a break. We're going to talk to you off air and try and help you find a solution.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. Toll-free number to reach the law firm of Morris DuPont. If you can hear the show, there is an office near you. 800-974-2712. Much more of the Home Mortgage Law Show right after this.
Hi there, this is Red Rocker Sammy Hagar. Being and staying healthy is important, so is making sure you have health insurance. Check out the new health insurance marketplace at healthcare.gov. Find an affordable health plan and get covered today at healthcare.gov. It's important.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law firm of Morris DuPont and Regal Tax Advisory Group. And we're taking your calls at 866-6 610 News, 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customers star 610. Attorneys Will Morris, Shea DuPont, and Michelle Hanash, our bankruptcy attorney.
There's a report out that there is a decline in short sales, but frankly, we haven't seen it.
Right.
We have not seen a decline in short sales. In fact, we're busier than ever in the short sale department. If anything, we're doing more short sales now than we are loan modifications. There's still so many people that have negative equity on their property. They're still underwater. They still want to do short sales. Now, let's go back and just definition of a short sale. Short sale is where you agree to sell the property for less than the balance of the mortgages on the property. So if you owe $350,000 on the house and the value of the property is only $250,000, you are going to be listing that property for sale at $250,000 and getting a purchase contract and then submitting a short sale application to your lender requesting that your lender agree to waive the deficiency amount, that $100,000, and lifting the lien off the property, and of course releasing you of personal liability on that $100,000. That's the important part, and a lot of people don't understand because, of course, if you don't ask for it, the lender's not going to agree to waive it.
Right, absolutely. Keep you on the hook for it.
Yes, absolutely. But that's what Morris DuPont does. We make sure that those lenders waive the deficiency amount, forgive that, so that you can walk away from a property that you have negative equity on, where the numbers just don't make any sense. Your mortgage payment is more than the rent value of the property. There's a whole analysis involved, and that's one of the things that we do in the free consultation. We sit down with you, we crunch the numbers, and we tell you what we think your best options are for your home, for your investment property, for that multi-unit property that you have been earning money on, but now you've got negative equity on it. You're not sure if it makes sense. Property that needs a new roof, does it make sense to invest more money in it, or does it just make sense to short sale? That's the kind of thing that we do in the consultations at Morris DuPont. And remember, if you can hear our voice, there's an office nearby: St. Petersburg, Tampa, Dadeland, Doral, Aventura, Fort Lauderdale, Plantation, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach. Happy to meet with you. I'll be in the Tampa and St. Petersburg offices next week. I think I have about 3 slots left open, so if you call the office and you do it now, you might be meeting with me next week in the Tampa or St. Pete office. The number to call, 800-974-2712. That's 800-974-2712. 2712. Will, in the foreclosure department, how are you feeling these days about the quiet title actions? I know still on the fence.
I've sort of changed my tune a little bit. As a matter of fact, I signed 2 of them up this week, and I think I'm going to look into whether or not, thanks to our lovely bankruptcy West Coast partner.
Buying time to say the name.
I'm struggling to say the name. What is the name?
Ziona Kopolovic.
There you go, Ziona. who found me this great case coming out of the Middle District, a bankruptcy case, which sort of sheds light on the argument. And if you remember from last week, I was saying, look, I didn't think that any court of law is going to allow a person to get a title free and clear simply because the bank can no longer foreclose on the property because of the statute of limitations. Meaning, they've waited too long to exercise their right to file a lawsuit, in this case 5 years, and therefore are not able to do so. But, again, like in the collections argument we made before, it doesn't mean that nothing stops them from doing that. The statute of limitation defense has to be raised.
Right.
They can still file a lawsuit, and if no one comes and challenges it based on the statute of limitations, they could very well get a judgment.
Absolutely.
Right. And otherwise enforce a debt that can no longer be enforced legally. But yeah, so I thought that because of the statute of limitations problem, that the courts would be reluctant to give a person a title free and clear because, even though the bank may be no longer able to file a lawsuit, that lien that's represented by the mortgage can still remain on the property. Mm-hmm. Well, lo and behold, the Middle District of Florida, the bankruptcy court, determined that, look, there is a statute that also says that a lien expires 5 years after maturity. And to the extent that the banks have accelerated the balance, matured the loan when they demand payment of the entire balance of the note, that means that lien can no longer exist more than 5 years beyond that acceleration period.
Voila, that's what we've been looking for.
And as much as I tried, I spent a lot of time arguing with Michelle about it. I was trying to find an argument around it, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to exercise and see whether or not I could take that argument and turn it into something where I can give a client a property that's free and clear of the mortgage.
Well, now you're back from your rabbit ears vacation last week.
Right.
Let's talk also about getting foreclosure defense attorneys together and having that powwow about what the best ideas are, so that all of us have the strongest motion citing all of the case law that all of us have found, so that we can start winning these cases for our clients.
I strongly support that. I'm sure there's a whole lot of foreclosure defense lawyers who are a lot smarter than me. We could sit down and
No, Will.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
none.
sure there is.
There aren't.
Oh, no.
I'm being very modest, but
Let's go to the phone. Susan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay, dear. I'm so glad I heard this radio program. And I have a question for you.
Shoot.
I don't know if I screwed up, but I think this loan modification program, there's something wrong with it legally. I financed $80,000 in 2002 for a townhouse that I had built in Wellington, Florida. And I have a disability, so I live on a fixed income. So in 2011, I read about the modification.
Sure.
So I applied for it. At the same time, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Oh, my goodness. So sorry to hear this.
Well, thank you, but I'm okay. They approved me, but they did not give me any terms at all. This was a few months in the making.
Right, and they don't give you terms when they start you out with a trial modification. They only give you the number. You need to pay this amount for 3 months, and then they will reveal the terms in the permanent modification. So in 2011, it could have even been more than 3 months. So a trial modification, they do not reveal the new interest rate. They don't reveal the new amortization, the term of the mortgage, and they don't reveal whether or not they're going to give you a principal reduction. Very often, we can calculate that for our clients, but they don't tell you.
Amortization schedule.
That's correct.
At closing, ever.
And so did you enter into a permanent modification?
I'm sorry?
Did you enter into a permanent modification of your mortgage?
Well, I don't know if it's permanent. I think I can refinance, but they came to my house, gave me the terms and made me sign the papers, and I think my brain is coming back to life because I'm questioning all these things.
Well, what you're welcome to do is you're welcome to call the office, and they will give you my email address, and you can email me or fax to the office the documents that you signed, and I will look at them for you. Put your phone number on it, and I'll call you, and I'll tell you what I think of the agreement.
Okay. There's only a few papers. But I wanted to let you know I had paid 9 years on this mortgage, on a 30-year mortgage. They added 36 years. I do not want to pay 45 years on an $80,000 mortgage.
Well, I don't blame you. That's very long. It's
ridiculous.
unusual to see 45 years. Normally, it's only the most that they do is 40. But again, I'm happy to look at the documents for you, dear. My name is Shay duPont. So call the office at
SHAE?
CHAE. duPont, DUPONT. So call the office, have them give you the fax number, and fax me the documents or email them to me as an attachment, and give them your phone number, and I'll call you, and I'll take a look at the documents for you, okay?
Okay, Shay, what's the number at the office?
It's 800-974
2712?
You've got it.
Okay, dear.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
talk to
Happy
you
to do
soon
it.
then.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
And
They're
you're
there-
listening to the
they're there
Home
now.
Mortgage Law Show, 800-974-2712, 1-800-974-2712. Much more of the Home Mortgage Law Show and calls right after this. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law firm of Morris DuPont and Regal Tax Advisory Group. Attorneys Shay DuPont, Will Morris, and Michelle Hanash, our bankruptcy attorney, taking your calls right here, right now. 866-610-NEWS, 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer star 610 on the phone. Axel.
Hi, Axel.
Yes, how you doing?
Good. What can we do for you today?
I love your show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it.
Well, a couple of years ago, I modified my loan on my own, and I only owed I only had 6 years left on the mortgage. It was a $54,000 left, and I lost my job, became disabled, and I needed to modify it, and I did the modification. I understand they do extensions. I just heard the last caller that they did a 45-year for her to.
That was a
extend it.
long,
long
one,
time.
huh? We never heard of a 45.
I just wanted a little extension so they could get what I owed them with the interest. It was a 15-year mortgage, and just to get the extension. Instead, they kept the maturity date, and they did the modification. And at the end of the maturity date, I have a balloon payment because obviously at 2%, the modification, the balance is not going to be paid down in the next 6 years.
Oh, right.
And they did a balloon payment instead of just extending my mortgage. I was with Aquin, and I really fought for that extension, but they wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
And
it's not like you can really negotiate these things. You never know what terms they're going to extend, what they're going to modify. Now, did you have negative equity on the property?
I probably don't think so, being that it was a 15-year mortgage. I did have a second mortgage, which is with a realty company, and that never came up. I didn't understand that. I did put it in the application, but
Yeah, that's not really relevant
Mm-hmm.
for the first mortgage holder when they're modifying whether or not you have a second mortgage. So
Okay.
are you still paying on the second mortgage as well?
Unfortunately, on the second mortgage, I haven't paid that mortgage since 2012.
Well, I would say that's fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't been able to do it, and then I believe I was a victim of predatory lending on that second mortgage. I was trying to refinance in '06 when everything was good. I had plenty of equity in the house, and it turned out that the company the mortgage company was the president of the mortgage company was the wife of the lender, who ended up giving me this $35,000 loan just to take care of what I had to take care of instead of refinancing my house. And it was a interest-only loan. I paid it for 3 years. That was a balloon loan. And at the end of 2010, I lost my job in 2009. So they tried to do some kind of modification, which they said they would break the payments of $350 in half, and the other half would go into the balloon. So they kind of extended it for another balloon for 3 years. Halfway down that line, I just couldn't pay it. But I haven't heard from them or anything from them, so I don't know what's going on with them. But I did do the modification. I was a bit I just wanted to extend the first a little bit.
All right. So you've got a couple of issues because now you can't refinance your first mortgage to get a longer loan because if you're at year 6 and you'd like to take it out to year 15, you can't do that right now because you've got this second mortgage on the property that even though you're not paying on it, it's still in existence. So there's nothing that can be done for a refinance right now. And the balloon payment on the first mortgage can very often end up as a refinance when it comes due. So you can very often refinance that balloon payment and get an extension that way. But again, my concern is they're going to have an issue at that time about the second mortgage.
The second mortgage has been so strange, Shay, because they have not reported a default. There's nothing. That they're not even sending me any bills.
Right, and I don't think they're going. I don't. The fact that they're not enforcing the second mortgage is great for you, but it's not going to be great when you want to refinance when that balloon payment comes up. So I want to turn the call over to Michelle, because I think, Axel, there is going to be some great opportunities for you through a Chapter 7 to sort of clean up some of this and really give you, some relief from some of these issues you're having. You're a classic case, I think, that a Chapter 7, even though you might not have a lot of debt, it can clean up sort of some cloudy, messy areas that you've got there.
I'm on disability now, so I have a fixed income. But
right, that's a good thing.
That would help would be great.
Right. So Michelle,
sure. There's several options that you have in regards to a bankruptcy. One, as Shay was pointing out, could potentially be a Chapter 7 if you needed to get rid of personal liability on some debt, potentially even get rid of that second mortgage. We don't have enough information about that yet, but the thing a 7 won't do is help you work out a new reorganization of your first mortgage, which is also causing you problems. So in a Chapter 13, potentially we can get rid of your debt, maybe get rid of your second mortgage, and also give you some time to pay, additional time to pay the first mortgage. Perhaps at a lower interest rate, or over 5 years, you'll be able to pay off that first mortgage balance over the 5 years of the bankruptcy, or even have the possibility to re-amortize the payments and have an additional balloon payment at another 5 years through a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So the bankruptcy can give you time to pay off this loan in full in a Chapter 13 in regards to the first mortgage.
Till the 2018 on that balloon on the first mortgage, the main mortgage with Aquin.
Okay, so you've got 5 years left on that, and then the balloon payment comes due. So, Michelle, maybe Axel should come in for a consultation, but your advice might be that he wait and hold off, and might know that it might be in 4 years it might be making sense for him to do a Chapter 13 so that he can get that extra 5 years, and that might resolve the balloon payment.
Yeah, it might, and we're going to go through all those options, and timing is one of the issues.
I would love to come into a consultation with Michelle. Sure.
Great.
I've actually listened to your shows for quite a while, Ms. Shea. Even when I was doing the modification on my own, it was with listening to you guys and strategically defaulting to do it, and you guys are the best informative show out there that I could tell. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's very kind of you, Axel. I don't know what you've been waiting for, but here's the number, and I'm going to suggest you do call and schedule an appointment with Michelle, and the number is 800.
Yes, I have it, sweetie. I do. I have your numbers. You guys are great, but I never thought about the bankruptcy since this mortgage. I actually wanted to sue the son of a gun because I think they railroaded me into that second mortgage. It's only $35,000.
Well, that's a pretty penny, especially if you're living on disability. So give us a call. Schedule your appointment with Michelle, and we'll talk about timing, and we'll talk about what your different options might be, because I want you to be able to sleep well at night, Axel.
I agree. That's funny you mentioned that, because I don't sleep, but it's not because of that. I just don't know. I can't sleep. I got to figure out what the doctor's going to say.
He's all right.
Thanks so much for listening to the show.
Thank you, man. You're funny.
It's interesting how many people in a consultation tell me that they were railroaded into signing a legal contract for more money than they would ever consider borrowing before in their life, and yet they feel like they're powerless. It's interesting that they get so caught up in the whole process of applying for the mortgage, and then the closing is coming, and the mortgage broker or the lender is telling you all these things, and then you look at the documents, and the documents are completely different, and then you sign them.
Anyway,
how does that happen? How does that happen?
It's called money, Shay.
I'm confused.
That's why they call it money, Shay.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show. Benjamin, Harry, don't go anywhere. Your calls are next here on the Home Mortgage Law Show. 800-974-2712. Toll-free number for a free consultation with the experts. The Morris DuPont PA firm. 800-974-2712. Many more calls to get to here on the Home Mortgage Law Show right after this. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show. It's that time. We're in the home stretch. Just a few minutes left to take a couple calls here with the experts. Attorneys Will Morris, Shay DuPont, and Michelle Hanash. Let's hit the phones with Benjamin. Hi.
Hi, Benjamin.
Hello.
Hi. What can we do for you today?
Well, I co-signed on the loan, and I did a quick claim deed on the loan just to take me off the title deed, and now they did a modification, and I'm trying to understand how I could do a modification without my signature.
Well, because you signed a quit claim deed, turning back your rights in the property. So the person who remained in the property and on the title can modify even without your signature. We do that all the time. It's especially prevalent in a divorce situation. So you've got two people that were on the title together and they're on the note together, and then there's a modification done. The first thing the lender wants us to do is to show that the person that is not our client did a quit claim deed.
Right? No longer has a possessory interest.
Thank you, Will. Yes, no longer a possessory interest in the property, and that allows the lender to then modify the terms of the existing mortgage for our client.
Okay, so then I should be eliminated from the loan then too.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if the lender would do that? But
No.
they won't. They never will agree to release someone of personal liability on a note unless that note is completely extinguished and paid off. And I see your point. You're like, wait a
Sure.
minute, I'm on the note, and yet someone went and modified a contract that I was a party to without my agreeing to it.
And I have got to be subject to that new contract? It's a
Right.
good point. It's a good point.
Especially if the modification involves the extension of the amortization period. So
Right.
he might have thought, well, at least I'll be off this note in the next 5 years. And then the
Lo and
person went
behold,
and
another 20
modified
years.
it,
Right.
and now it's another 20 years. Will, what about that argument? I think that
And that is a good argument.
I think that's a good
That's a
argument
very
that you
good
should
argument.
that there was no consideration that you are not a party to this new contract. You
Right,
should be
right,
released.
right.
How about that?
I did not consent to it. I mean, I can only be bound by things I agree to.
I like
And
it.
they'll say,
like it.
sure, pay us sooner. Pay us more money each month.
No, but listen, it affects your ability to have this one person get the modification. But in the long run, the person who did not sign the modification papers has an argument to say that they should be off. The bank should release them. Yeah, honor the modification with the other person who signed it, but release me because I wasn't part of it.
Right. I think you have a very good argument,
you know
sir.
what? That is an argument there. Look at you, Shay, practicing litigation over there. I like it.
Yeah, the old
the old
years.
ticker.
Yeah, the old ticker still works.
Still works
From
over
back
there.
what?
I just need to get in contact with the lender, Wells Fargo, and argue this point to him then.
Well, you individually arguing
It's
that
not
point.
going to get you. It's not going to get you far.
Yeah, I think you
So I
need.
need an attorney now.
Yes, sir.
And I can think of a really good one. Will Morris, my partner at the law firm of Morris DuPont, come in, see him. Let's see if he's willing to take a case like that and argue that
It's a
you
good
should
argument.
be released of liability on that note so that you will no longer be responsible for the mortgage. That would be great, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I bet you the mortgage, the original note says it can't be modified unless it's in writing. If it has to be in writing and it's modified, and the person who was on the original note is not on the modification, then it shouldn't be applicable.
'Cause they
Well,
didn't
wouldn't they
consent.
just say the modification is void, and then
Well,
the
that's-
old
that's-
mortgage
You
goes
can't
into
void.
You
You
can't-
can't
it's a
void
new
it because
contract.
it's a new contract.
Right, because then the other
Both
person
par-
has a cause of action against them to enforce that contract.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's
Well,
juicy. These are the
ready to
kind of
take down
cases
this
we just
information.
love to do.
Will, let me know what happens.
Right, I like it.
I'm ready to take down this information.
All right,
Go
we'll
ahead.
give it to you. The law firm of Morris, Morris, DuPont, DuPont. You're going to want to speak to Will, Wil, Will Morris, my law partner. And the phone number to call is 800-974-2712. What area of town do you live in, sir?
Miami, Florida.
Then give them a call at the office. They're there today. Tell them you want to schedule in the Doral location to meet with Will Morris.
All right, thank you.
All right.
There you
Thanks
go.
so much for calling.
Looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah,
Nice
that's a
one.
great argument because
That's
we're
nice
always
juicy.
on the other
Right,
side.
right.
We're
That-
always on the side of the spouse who wants the modification,
Right.
and we get the other spouse to do the quick claim deed, which we've done hundreds of them, and go forward with this one. But
don't,
I
don't
think
you think the lenders would stop modifying for just the individual clients?
Well, this is just an individual case, Michelle. No need to argue the other
Come on
side,
now.
dear.
Hi, Harry.
Hi,
Take it
Harry.
easy. Throwing the whole monkey wrench in the situation.
Harry, how can we help you today?
Yeah, well, basically, in a nutshell, I received a lawsuit about a month ago claiming a foreclosure on a home that we haven't been in 2 years. Somebody else owns it now, and I guess they haven't been paying the mortgage that we used to have. It was a home equity loan for $97,000, and basically, I guess they're trying to say that it just says in the summons that basically they think that we still live in the home, and we don't. We have the title of who lives there now, and basically I was wondering if Will Morris could take on my case.
Well, let me ask you a few questions. When you say you no longer have title to the house, somebody else has it. How did you lose title to it?
Well, we were forced out.
What do you mean forced out?
Well, I don't think it was by the condo. Believe me, they put like an injunction on. Like I was renting the place out, and they put an injunction, and they had me on the injunction too. I don't know why, but it was saying something about like screaming on the balcony or something. They were acting crazy noise or something. So basically, they racked up a fine of $12,000, and Homestead should have protected us, but we couldn't find a lawyer to say, well, Homestead protected us from creditors like that, but still they put a levy on us and took our home.
So the condo association foreclosed on you.
Hard to say, Will. It's hard to say. But
Right.
I think a core point is that you had mortgages on that property, correct?
No, the place was bought and paid for, and we had a home equity loan for $97,000. And now that we haven't been there no more. These people have been in there, so.
Okay, so when you have a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, home equity line of credit, that is you agreeing to borrow money from a bank, and the bank puts a lien on your property.
Right.
If the property is foreclosed on or sold,
There's still personal
and
liability, right?
and that home equity line of credit has not been paid off, you still owe that home equity line of credit.
Well, no, I don't understand how that's really true, because what responsibility to the new owners? All they have to do is just pay the maintenance and assessments, and we got to pay that for the rest of our life.
Yeah, well, the new owners didn't get that money.
Right. The new owners of the property were not in contract with the lender that you borrowed the money from, so they aren't responsible for the home equity line of credit.
Well, isn't this true that anything you buy in the auction that's attached to the home, that person is responsible for it?
No.
Well, it should. Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh.
Maybe it is.
Well, you come do the show then.
Right. I stand corrected there, pal. You might be right on that.
Thank
Let me look
goodness
into
we
that.
got somebody that can school us, Will.
All right.
We've been doing it wrong all these
All
years.
these- right.
Dang it. Wish those judges would have told me I was wrong, because they keep telling us we're right and we keep winning.
If that's true, can you show me that in law? Can you show me that? Can I call you up and you can show me that where it says that in law, that what you're saying is true?
How about if I just tell you and you believe me?
Oh, wow. I don't have to pay you that for that, do I?
No.
No, not at all. Not one penny.
Oh, that's free, huh?
Yeah.
Well, most lawyers tell me I got to pay them first to show me that law, but now I just have to believe you. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I ask. But thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for calling. It's a very interesting point you raised. People have a hard time with the difference between the note, the
And the
mortgage,
mortgage, right,
and the deed to the property, and that's one of those instances where where it gets kind of clouded.
We have less than a minute. Mary, hi.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I called and I hear the previous caller to this guy who had he didn't know about the extension. My situation, I got a modification on my own. And if you're in trouble and you ask for modification, usually you want a payment which is less. They gave us a payment which was more. The good thing is that we did get a 2% for 2 years and then 2.5% after that. So that means you can't.
Nice.
And another thing too is that they extend the mortgage instead of giving me. We were hoping that we get low payment, low.
Were you hoping you were going to get a principal reduction?
Yes, but I wasn't too far on that. But we were hoping to. We didn't get that. Plus, in addition to that, instead of extending the mortgage period, they make it the same maturity date. So, and they put on the payments which weren't paid on the end of it. So now a house that we bought for $180,000 is now 200 and something thousand with a 22 months payment. So of course the payment is higher. And
how long did you get a modification?
Mary, we got to go.
We got to go.
Mary, call the office. Schedule a telephone conference with me. Tell them Shay told you to call the office.
Here's the number, Mary. It's 1-800-974-2712. 1-800-974-2712. The Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. The law firm of Morris DuPont. We'll see you next Saturday.